Good evening, everybody. You hear me well? Good, good. Um, some housekeeping announcements in alignment with the city of Newark. All large events beginning on or after October 31st will require one of the following for ages 16 and up, and that's an ID and proof of a negative COVID test within 72 hours and for an ID and proof of vaccination. We appreciate your cooperation with this policy as we deal with today's madness in the world. Um, Another housekeeping announcement I like to make is to let people know that our parking lot closes at 8:30, but I hear that it may not even have been open today at all. So if you have to park there, just make sure you get out the lot by 8:30. So my name is Jasenia Lopez, and I am the director of the New Jersey Hispanic Research and Information Center at the Newark Public Library. Thank you. As director, one of my roles are to oversee the functions of La Sala Iberoamericana, located on the first floor, and it is a space for our Spanish dominant patrons or anyone who just likes to speak Spanish and read books in Spanish. The other is to oversee the functions of the Hispanic Reference Collection, and that consists of newspaper clippings, our Latino Oral History Collection, which are first person interviews with over 100 different Latino leaders throughout New Jersey, and the overseeing the Puerto Rican Community Archives. It is the only place in the state of New Jersey documenting the history of its oldest and largest Latino community in the state. Another role is to oversee Latino programming here at the main library. So if you have an idea for a program you'd like to see here at the library, or if you'd like to bring a program to the library, definitely let me know. And just keep in mind that we are celebrating Latino celebration here today as part of our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. But we do Latino programming all year long. It doesn't, you know, consist of a September to October 15th time frame. So stay tuned for programming in November, December, and January, and so on. And then, of course, my role is mentioning Latino celebration and Hispanic Heritage Month. I also oversee the coordination of Latino celebration. We start on September 15th in alignment with Hispanic Heritage Month, but we don't stick to the month time frame because it's just too much to share. So we celebrate throughout the fall, and like I said, we're programming all year long. But every year we focus and create this celebration with a specific theme. And it consists of an exhibit based on a theme there in the second floor gallery and a series of programs. We're here today for the Cafe con Letras program. But this year's theme in our exhibit is titled The Library and the Latino Community. Get this, celebrating 40 plus years of partnership. That's 40 years that the library has been serving, actively recruiting Latino librarians, collecting and now making the largest collection of Spanish language books of any public library in the state, and establishing the New Jersey Hispanic Research and Information Center. Um, and of course, in 40 years, we've offered hundreds of different public programs on topics such as employment, business, finance, literature, music, sports, poetry, art, and comedy. So, also through partnerships with our organizations, with government agencies, we host dozens in the last 40 years of volunteers, interns, research assistants, and work study students. If you guys have access to any of those and would like to um, set them up with a site, I am a great intern host, so to send them my way. They're sure to get something out of this experience working in the archive and for La Sala Iberoamericana. So, in, a, in, a, in addition to an exhibit based on the theme, we create a series of programs. And sorry, our exhibit is up through December 31st. If you didn't get a chance to see it, back and check it out. We even have a nice little video clip of the exhibit that is included in the exhibit. So today is our Café con Letras, literature, art, and laughter. In today's part two, if you missed it, yesterday we laughed, we had fun, we learned and heard from some authors and artists, and we're going to do it again today. I'm looking forward to laughing with our hosts. But before that, I just want to announce we're going to be wrapping up our celebration this Saturday. This Saturday is our last Latino celebration program, and it consists of a conversation and a book signing with Maria award-winning journalist, and she's going to be in conversation with Yvette Mendez. If you're interested in attending this event, and I hope you are, please RSVP and join us on Saturday. And for today, not today, sorry. Stay tuned on November 10th. We're going to be starting a program called Sewing the African Diaspora. And that's an international program of 5 week hands-on lessons for making Afro dolls. The participants get step-by-step instructions on how to create these symbolic forms of art and participate in discussions on diasporic blackness, feminism, and more. That's starting on November 10th. Please register for that as soon as you see the announcement come out. And then stay tuned for December 18th. We're going to have a Celebrando Juntos las Navidades. So you're going to bring the kids. They're going to love it. And it's going to be a family program featuring the different ways that our Latino community celebrates. And now to start today's program, Café con Letras. Our host is a Dominicana raised in Washington Heights with a splash of Little Havana and Pittsburgh, she says. She's an award-winning playwright and has toured the country performing her autobiographical play, Pink, The Chronicles of BC Jenny. She's been featured on shows such as High Maintenance, Blue Bloods, Search Party, and New Amsterdam, and more. She thinks she's hysterical, and she once baked a delicious pie that she won't shut up about. Thank you. And I'm gonna turn the show over to Jenny Saldana.
Thank you. It was coconut cream, and it was fabulous. My pie that I baked. I guess I did such a great job yesterday that nobody came back today. So we're doing this for the online people. So if you have questions for our panelists, and we have our virtual panelists also, please type them into the Facebook page. We will answer them at the end of the program. We will do that. If you have questions for me, for any of our panelists, we will do that at the end of us showing us all our wares. So yesterday I was telling you that I just had a big birthday. I just turned old, and turning old has been very, very stressful for me, because it sucks. It just really, really sucks. And I am now so obsessed with death because I I turned 50. Like the minute I turned 50, I started counting down to my days are numbered. Like I'm on the short end of the stick here. Every time somebody dies, I get like Colin Powell, 84. I'm like, that's 34 years from now. I need more time. Like I can't, and I'm obsessed with death now. And I had cancer, which I think it's weird because cancer didn't make me think about my death because I got cancer very young. And getting cancer very young is, it's a tragedy. I had breast cancer. That's a tragedy. Breast cancer at 34. So that's, yeah, people rallied around me. Everybody liked me then, you know? They wanted to touch my head, and they bought me drinks, and everybody visited me, and I was so special, and now I'm just 50. I'm just 50. 50, 34 in cancer, much better than 50. If I got cancer right now, my friends will all start a candlelight visual. They're like, I'm not dead yet. Ah, you're 50. You're almost there. You got a good life. Yeah, you're almost there, girl. Just give it up. So because I'm a woman of a certain age, and I don't have children that I know of. Um, I I drank a lot in the 90s. Who knows? Um, but I felt like I wanted something. I wanted something. I wanted to give some love, something love. So I wanted to get a dog, right? But I don't have the money or the lifestyle for a dog. But I have all these awesome dog names that I can't go to waste, like Joan Jett, one word, Joan Jett. That's a great name for a dog. Hey, Joan Jett, like that's one name, right? But I can't afford a dog, so I got a pet child. Um, yeah, you go to Big Brothers Big Sister, and they give you a kid. They just give you a kid. And, I did it to meet men. I did it to meet men. And then I get there and I find out there's a shortage of men, right? So now, and I did it because I figured the men at Big Brothers, they've been vetted. They have an education. They haven't been convicted of any crimes, right? And they like kids, but not too much, right? So you want this kind of guy in your life. And then there's no guys. And now I'm stuck with this kid, right? I'm stuck with this kid. Right. And at first I thought it was gonna be like a selection. I get to pick a kid. I thought it'd be like going on one of those old time brothels and they line them up and I get to pick the cute one, but that didn't happen. That didn't happen. They just gave me a kid. And then I asked for a little. I'm the big and the child's called the little, right? I said, give me a little, like a 7-year-old, something that I can take care of. And they're like, you sure you want someone that you wanted to take care of? Like, you want somebody that rambunctious? And I'm like, are you calling me old? Like, then they gave me one that could take care of me. They gave me a 13-year-old girl. Now, I don't know if you know this. 13-year-old girls are right up there with like Hitler. They're like not good people. I was there. I was there. All of us who were girls were there. We were horrible people at 13. And then she's bigger than me. So when I'm walking with this kid, I'm walking around with this kid and she's humongous. And it's like, Emily, what do you want to do? Pizza. Like she wants to eat pizza and then she eats her food and my food. And then the only good thing is I only have to walk her twice a month. I only have to walk her twice a month. I take her to the park. I let her run around with all the other feral kids, while I drink vodka out of a Wendy's cup and sit there with all the other divorced dads. And I'm just like, that's my kid over there. Which one's yours? Mine's the big one beating your kid up. Go get your kid, because my kid's gonna eat him. And then she like tells me things like my name's really original. I was like, your name is Emily with a bunch of unnecessary letters. Okay, there are too many M's and I's and E's in your Emily. But okay. And then she goes to me, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 48. She's like, my mother's 37. I was like, yeah. And she has 6 kids, so she gave me you. What am I supposed to do with her? Like, and then I gotta find ways to like, I wanted her to break up with me, because I can't break up with her. I'm the mentor. Then I'm a bad person for abandoning a child. But if she leaves me, she left the mentor. So I kept trying to get her to quit me, but she won't, right? But then she committed the ultimate sin in my eyes, and she wouldn't read the copy of Are You There, God Is Me, Margaret that I bought her, and that gave me all the justification to break up with her. Because if you cannot read Are You There, God Is Me, Margaret, what is wrong with you? And I just, mm. but I, it, but, mm. So I gave her back. Um, uh, we, she's, so, but I don't know if I want to do that anymore. And I mean, I got my dog fixed with her. But when a woman says, I don't have kids and I don't know if I want kids, I mean, if one shows up, I walk it and water it because I'm not a savage, but I don't have that burning sensation that women have for kids. I think that's just yeast. But when a woman says she doesn't want kids, especially a Latina says she doesn't want kids, you people assume that I don't like kids. And nothing could be further from the truth. You know who doesn't like kids? People with kids. I love kids. I am great with kids. I just hate the gifted ones. Like I hate a gifted child. I was talking to this little jerk the other day, and he says to me, I'm in a gifted school. So I go, oh, cool, Hogwarts, X-Men, Umbrella Academy. Which one is it? He goes, what do you mean? I mean, what's your gift? I don't know. Really, you think Wolverine doesn't know that he's actually a Wolverine? So he's some kind of prodigy? He says, what's that mean? It means you're not gifted. Can you count cards? Can I take you to Vegas? I can throw tassels on my butt. What the hell can you do? So he starts crying and runs off screaming, "You're the worst aunt ever." At least I know my kids. All right, let's get this show started. Let's get this show started, people. I've been mean enough. I've been meaning enough. I am so proud, like I was yesterday and today, to just be surrounded by such Latino excellence. It is, as I said yesterday, the Latino artist community is very small, and we all know each other. We know somebody who knows somebody, and I love it when we get together like this, and I love it when we meet new people. Oh, I am introduced to new Latino artists. So I'm very, very excited. So our panelists today are Dimitri Reyes, who is virtually. Hi, Dimitri. How are you? So Dimitri,
Hola,
we're gonna
hola.
just start with you. Well, let me just start introducing everybody. Cesar Melgar, right here. Grisela Costa and Porter Rock over here at the end, rounding out the panel for us. So, Dimitri, thank you for being here with us today. We're so excited, and we want to see what are you going to show us today?
Thank you. Well, with the magic of technology, because I am gifted Hogwarts style and Umbrella Academy style, I am going to zap myself into different spots of the library on a pre-recorded video. So I'm going to take you on a journey through a couple of different places throughout the Newark Public Library, and do a couple of pieces for performance. So you'll see that there's some Newark poems. I'm Newark born and raised. So you'll see some of those. You'll also see some mythological poems that are a fabrication of a created Puerto Rican myth god called Papi Pichon. And a funny thing about Papi Pichon, I created that because growing up in like a lot of my friends' Caribbean households and my households, I would see roosters all over the place. And they'll be like that one person in the neighborhood that has that guile that you would hear, but it's elusive. It's like a ghost. You never see it. So I always thought like, well, what bird do we have around here that we take a lot of pride in, or that's just consistently there for us? And you'll find that pigeon everywhere. So that's another one of those poems that'll be featured there too. Yeah, so that's it. I hope you all enjoy the video. Or wait, or am I expected to read? How do I beam the video here? I need tech help. Or was I supposed to read? There it is. Peace and blessings, mi gente. My name is Dimitri Reyes. Thank you so much for Latino Celebration 2021, as well as HRIC for always, always, always hooking up your Latino artists. You're gonna hear 4 poems. This first one is Mother Botanica. Aguanile, aguanile. Mother Botanica morphed 99 cents of sliced bread into dough balls for breakfast. Saturday morning, very early, no butter, no mayo, just filled with my daily bread. Going to the Botanica on a half-empty stomach to fill yourself up on sweat guys and the tears of me. I am no air conditioners. I am heat and murmur. You are not your world, but I am not, no soy tu island. I am what you bring to me, the thing at the storefront. Vibrations and shakers, greeting me in the language of your grandmama's swollen feet. Come into me, son. I am, yo soy, I am. Aguanile, agua, Nile River rich, disguised in the espiritismo of Ongo San y Alcolado. My people, they come here. My people, they come here. My people, 3rd times, they are still coming here by the baskets. And when it is your turn to need me, I will be here to nourish you too. Thank you. Our daily becoming, para Grandpa. Like the same iOS rock, my grandfather moves from one side of his house to the other. It should be easier to distinguish inhales between exhales. the hands that rebuild his mother's house, Kenepas spawning overnight life in green. In these moments of living, proof of flesh serves only as halo, the shape of the cheapest bean that feeds our daily becoming. It should be easier to define one's path to the winning lottery ticket, but dreams at his feet only reflect the chasing of beads around the rosary. Eventually, he stops running, even if he misses it. Oh, how it felt like flying, he said, chasing and eventually stopping the running, how he now flaps his fingers filled with nourishing fruit while respecting the movement of rocks. Despite this, he says, finalmente los pichones le robaran el aire. He will continue to respect grass in his yard as the blades always reach towards the sun. Summer Ave, 1 street corner. This is a letter. 2, today I lie next to you where your weeds loiter between the seasons. 3, turn me over in this bed made of soda and spare time. Make me visible only to those who walk all over you. 4, I miss the corner store dates where 10 Swedish fish always cost $1, feasting on gummies until the sun went down, fish swimming down the drains of our throats for freedom. 5, I can run my hands down the small of your back in broken ridges, a storm drain. 6, children chalk up pistols, water bullets waiting on pinchos. Their open mouths are the sun that melts cherry quarter ices. 7 empty chip bags and tiny plastic baggies are embraced by dirt, snuggled in your hug of fertilizer made with the richness of our blood. 8 sneakers spin on your line, lynched like a weather vane, and you wear them as a beautiful necklace. 9, a cat's last breath is stolen on your doorsteps, cracks and potholes filled with empty bodies. 10, I can carbon date the silhouettes of the dead layered in chalk, reading as far back as anyone remembers. 11 people pick you piece by piece for every funeral you've curated. 12 in the morning, someone cracks you open like a walnut and you spill over Nork to color us with the color of the living. 13 ways to meditate. Eat and drink your asphalt. Worship the fumes of gods from spray cans. Learn to love the way we love in street corner stupor. Dear Summer Ave, 14, fill in the gaps of you with the memory of me. Papi Pichon. Papi Pichon flies out of my library book, and no one understands him because he chirps at Spanish to English dictionary speed. All dismiss Papi's beautiful wings, a saber, a grindstone attached to gold-plated breasts, a picture of many beers emptied across a flag on the wingspan of a flying rat. Sin vergüenza, he fluffs its feathers, juts its pecker at an unknown roost, screaming, mira, 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 I got your stereotypical Boricua right here, pointing at its pigeon butt. If it had a crack, it'd be where the fault line of the carpetbaggers meet the campo. The winning lotto ticket my grandfather never scratches flutters out of that same book, and Papi Pichon gobbles it up. It's been a long time since we've seen real gold and not the deceiving foil of a publisher's clearinghouse sold dream. It's been longer since Puerto Rico wasn't just Borinquen, since coplas, décimas, y bombas fetishized Borinquen reinas and Creole babies. Show me royalty, Father Pigeon, before you go up and up in flames, before you are more burnt ash buried underneath more history, where musicians and poets still sit on your pile of dust because you can still sing louder. Fly me back to the antiquity that collected the dust of golds with your angels in Ponce, harvesting coca, making our heartbeats beat faster than our feet, stepping to the conga in North. Papi Pichon wants me to follow him past Oscar Lopez Rivera during the Puerto Rican Day Parade, before the Commonwealth, before the Bronx burnings, where we squawked like coquis, before colorless, before corn, tomato, tamales, and oro, before our sea of tierra learned to speak Spanish.
Wow. Dimitri, thank you so much for that tour of the library. That was so awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Where do we find you? How do we follow you? What are you pitching?
Okay, so and first of all, thank you so much. And it was so wild. So thank you to the NJHRIC for letting me do that. I actually learned the Dewey Decimal System at the Newark Public Library before there was no more Dewey Decimal System and everything was cataloged. I was one of the last like NPS students when I was like 7 or 8, like to do that. So it was really wild to go through the archives and go through the rest of the places. You can find me on Instagram at Dimitri underscore Reyes. You can also find me on YouTube at Dimitri Reyes Poet. And I also do have a book out every 1st and 15th from Digging Press. And you can also find that if you go to my website at dimitryreyespoet.com. Thank you, Jenny.
Well, thank you, Dimitri. Please hang out with us because we may have some questions for you towards the end of the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So moving right along, again, I'm just still so impressed with all with your poems and the tour of the library. I've never been to the library before. I had said that yesterday was my first time here in the library, and this is such a beautiful edifice, and it's landmarked, right? It's not, it's protected, right? Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Now we're going to meet a photographer who has lived here in Newark and just has a great. Well, let him tell it. Hi, Cesar. Tell us all about your book and all about your work and what inspired you.
Hello? Okay, so I'm born and raised in the city of Newark. I'm so Newark that my mom and dad they literally met each other in front of City Hall, and my dad asked my mom for the time, and she gave him the wrong time, and they hit it off from there. Yes. So what inspired me to start photographing is that in my neighborhood, it was a very live neighborhood. Like we had markets, we had butchers, we had everything that you can get. And one day eminent domain came and people were kicked out of my neighborhood and they knocked down houses, they knocked everything down. And right now, currently, people's homes are that's just a distant memory, and all that's left are like parking lots. And right now, that area is where the Prudential Arena sits right now. So that really inspired me to just pick up a camera and to record the changes that are going on. So I think it's very important to for the future and for people to understand that there was history there. So, like a regular day for me is I just grab my camera and I just walk around, and I'm very much inspired by my neighborhood, the people that live there. Like I shoot a lot of like people working. I shoot just things that I find along the streets that like speak to me and that speak to my heart. If you could just pop that slideshow. So this book, it was designed and put together by a gentleman named John Foster. Like he found my work online and he was like so impressed by it that he was like, I want to compile this book for you to help, further your career a little bit. And I'm super proud of that. Like he's like a big curator like out in Missouri. So this is like a good collection of some of my favorite images from like 2015 to 2018. And and I also want to share that like one of the biggest accomplishments this year is that there's a very special photo that's going to pop up, but it was purchased and it's in the collection of Throckmorton Fine Art, which is probably one of the most important Latin American photography galleries in the world. So I'm like super, like, just super happy for that. So that image, it is going to come up soon, but that image is called Pachamama's Revenge. So basically, like in Inca mythology, she's like the sun. Yeah. So she's like the sun, and she's angry. She's angry at everything that's going on in the world. So she's that's actually a mural on 21. But and behind that was a factory that was burning down. So people were like gathered around shooting photos, and I saw what was happening. To me, like this goddess, she was blowing smoke. She was making a fire because she's just like so mad at what's going on in this world right now. You know, like everything's a mess. She's coming. She's getting revenge. You know. Uh, so yeah, like lately, one of my biggest projects is that I go into a lot of new construction that's going on right now because our city's like really rapidly getting developed. So like one of my favorite things to do is like go into these construction sites and like look out windows and make images of the city because this is all new and I feel like the city is not gonna look like this because factories are all disappearing. Like we're post industrial, like we're going into like a new the city's gonna look just so different. So I'm just trying to capture all that. Like for example, like this image, like right now that's like an Amazon warehouse. But back then these were factories and I just like I like exploring these places. Like I just like going by myself and just like sitting in these large open spaces. Manufacturing is gone and those are some of my favorite subjects to shoot. That's Proctor's Theater, which is a major was a big theater on Market Street back in the day. Yeah, it's still there. They're actually the facade. They're trying to keep the facade and build behind it. Mhm. That's like one of the most well-known Newarkers. This man used to, I don't know if he still does, but he used to run up and down Broad Street jogging every day. Yeah, like everybody knows him. Yeah, yeah. This is like along Riverbank Park, River, the Passaic River. Like these are people's, homeless people's homes. I just love how that shadow is reaching out towards them. So like I'm not like a poet with words, but I feel like a poet when it comes to like putting visuals together. Yeah. These are two ladies. Those two ladies were putting together a cross. Yeah. It was Palm Sunday. Yeah. Like this image right here is in Peru. And I went to Peru like when I was 29 years old. I had never flown anywhere prior to that, and I was like, before I turn 30, like I want to just say that I've been somewhere, you know, before I hit that milestone. And I wanted to also like learn about my father's history. Our like my Peruvian side is extremely fragmented, so we don't I don't know anything much about them. So I got to meet like my cousin and a lot of family. So this is the Ironbound, and we have a lot of the Ironbound has a lot of issues. It has a lot of problems with like airport traffic, a lot of truck traffic because we have one of the biggest ports in the eastern side of the seaport. So right now, like some of my so my friends, they're organizers and activists, and they inspire me a lot. Like they're the ones that do all the groundwork, all the hard work, but they inspire me, and I feel like these images supplement a lot of what they are saying and a lot of what they're fighting for. And also, the Ironbound is like one of the most rapidly gentrifying neighborhoods right now, and it's known as like a Portuguese neighborhood, but it's very Latino. Like there's so many good restaurants that you can find, and I feel like we're very underrepresented. Like it's a strong Latino community up there. This image, like I was walking to the train station, and there's like a large homeless population there, and there was just something very striking about this image. Yeah, so that's about it for my work, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cesar. So where do we find you? How do we follow you? What are you pitching?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Super Poupon, which is SUPAPOUPON.
Super coupon.
Super coupon.
I
Yeah.
always be looking for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Um.
I always be looking for a super coupon.
Yeah. I have my the book that you're looking at right now. The slides that's available for purchase online on our website, and you can find it through my Instagram.
Wonderful. I just love um well, all your imagery is just so powerful. Do you only shoot in black and white?
I experiment with color, but I go back to black and white.
Yeah,
It's just like
yeah. It's just
that's what
yeah.
speaks
I
to me.
get that. I get that. It's really really just so impressive. And I just want to give you a fun fact, totally unrelated, but whatever. I'm here. When you said that you weren't a poet, but you were a poet with your imagery, and you definitely are. Christelle started snapping her fingers, which is a way of clapping. I want to tell you where that comes from. It actually started during the comedy days in New York City. There was a bar called the Up and Up. Actually, not the Up and Up. The Gaslight. It was called the Gaslight on McDougal Street in McDougal, and they used to have comedy there all the time. And it's the building, the space is still there, but they were so loud. The apartments upstairs called the cops every night. They would get raided every night for the cops. So they said, we're not clapping anymore. We're snapping our fingers. So I don't want the hippies to think they invented this. Not calling you a hippie, but I'm not just calling you. I don't want the people. It wasn't. It was literally because of the cops that we do this now. Because we weren't. People were getting arrested for noise pollution. So we started. That's where that came from. It's a little fun fact for you. I try to educate everywhere I go. All right, we're gonna keep this moving. We're gonna keep this moving to our next panelist, who, in full disclosure, is my sister. Grisela Costa is a sister of mine. She is just a powerhouse, and I'm so glad to be introducing Grisela Costa.
Testing, testing. All right, great. Thank you so much, Jenny. You are a powerhouse. And thank you to my fellow panelists who are incredible. Um, and thank you to the audience who is both here and in virtual land. Thank you for joining us. Um, I am a full professor at the City University of New York, and I am a poet and uh, maybe a little bit of a mess at times. But that said, I'm just going to read poetry. I don't really want to, I don't like to talk about myself, but through the poems, right? So this book is called Things to Pack on the Way to Everywhere. And it was a finalist for the Andres Montoya Poetry Prize in 2020. And it was published this year by Get Fresh Books. So I'm going to be reading from it, but I also want to make folks aware of an anthology that I edited um, that was published in 2019 by Routledge, and it's called Latina Outsiders Remaking Latina Identity. And it has over 30 contributors, including visual artists, some of whom are photographers. So that's just something to have on your radar, just some of the stuff that I do. Um, so my poetry, it's very personal, and it also kind of covers themes of family and Afro-Latinidad. And let's just see what I end up reading here. I think I'm going to read about my dad. Uh, I was caring for him before he passed away a couple of years ago. He had Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And this is the way that I like to remember him. And this is called Pelota de Fuego. When Papi was a boy in Barranquilla, Colombia, he and his barrio friends could not afford a real football. So they tied a bunch of rags together, and someone's mother smoothed the strips into a soccer ball with her leg pumped sewing machine. Sometimes they dipped the ball in tar in order to make it even smoother. Papi says it was like kicking around a lead ball, which explains his wide calves. Other times, before the tar dried, they lit it on fire. and kicked around their pelota de fuego through the dusty, already too hot streets. One particular priest did not like their antics and often scolded them, which of course prompted them to kick La Pelota de Fuego right into his afternoon service. The priest stumbled over it, kicked it out to the churchyard. It set a pine tree aflame so quickly that sparks from the tree landed between the breasts of a rotund churchgoer who got up screaming in a panic. Mommy says, for this reason, we know that Garcia Marquez was not just inventing stories. Those things really do happen in Latin America. Soccer games were a given at church outings. Picnics, camping trips, barbecues, all had un juego de fútbol. Papi was the minister and early for everything, which gave me a dewy morning view of the players raising the nets and warming up. That was all I watched as I was more interested in swimming, but I could hear them all day screaming commands and the infamous goal. At night, back home, my parents' room was somber. Papi lay face down on his side of the bed. Mommy read her magazines next to him under dim yellow light. ¿Qué le pasa, papi? I'd ask with 8-year-old concern. He thought he was 20 years old today. After noticing my youthful confusion, she explained that people in their 40s can't play football all day in the sun. I thought, how sad. Bobby can't remember much anymore. He recently forgot I was born in Chicago, stating when I told him, oh, I never knew that. The medication that minimizes these episodes sometimes gives him nightmares, but on occasion, he has a great night. He woke up one morning during a visit, smiling. Soñé con fútbol, he said, right after dreaming of playing soccer all night. Ay, es rico jugar el fútbol. A corona of light around his face. I am happy that in his dreams, he can play football all day again. I'm going to read one more. And this one harkens back to my, and some of you may have heard this one already, but it harkens back to my days growing up in Chicago. I was a punker, I was a house head, I grew up in clubs, and, I used to be really proud of that. And then for a minute, I was really ashamed of that. And now I'm proud of it again. So this is called Chicago DJ Remix, North and Damon, 1993. A song to sing for those of us who grew up in dance clubs and outlived everyone around us. After Barbara Tucker's Beautiful People. Deep, 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 deep. Fiasco's drinking gin and tonic. Deep, 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 deep. Fiasco's drinking gin and tonic. Deep, 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 deep. Curly girl is walking in with a fake fur. Deep, deep, deep blue. Light in the water. Deep, deep red. Light in the water. Deep, deep. Coat check girl is under 18, but her daddy's the owner, know what I mean. Deep down, deep down, deep down, deep down. Bartender is a brother. I ain't ever seen a mother. Deep down, deep down, deep down, deep down. Curly girl is spinning in the middle of the crowd. Deep The walls and the floorboards have a thing or two to tell you. Deep down, a sniff, a pipe, a sip, a life. Deep down, tick tock, tick tock, deep down, slide that leg. Arms reach overhead and bounce deep down and bounce deep down. Hide in a groove, in a circle that moves deep down in the wax, skipping beats on the tracks, in the wax, in the wax, deep down. Curly girl is walking out as the loop ends. Deep, deep, deep. Gathering in the alley, cars driving off to who, where, deep, goodbye, deep, good night. Thank you.
Grisel, I love that. I love that. Tell us where we can find you. Where do we stalk you? And what are you pitching?
Well, you can buy this book at Get Fresh Books. It's easily searchable online. I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and it's all Grisel Y. Acosta, some variation of it, so I'm easily searchable that way as well. And my website is grito.org.
All right, grito.org for those of you who want to follow
Thank you.
Grisel Acosta and want to get her wonderful books and read some more of this awesome poetry that Grisel has blessed us with today. And last but not least, our final panelist, he is an author and he's also a Jersey boy. So let's give it up for Porter Rock.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you. God, I have a beat going in my head now. I want to get up and dance. I want to say, way to all my beautiful people that are viewing this event, that are here. Um, this is great being, together with fellow artists and this special group here tonight. I want to thank the New Jersey Hispanic Research Information Center for celebrating the many different cultures that make up our great city, the rich contributions of our Black and Brown people here in the bricks. I mean, you've given us knowledge, tools, to equip not only the youth, but everyone, which, is truly needed, by sharing all the cultural experiences and the events and through the music, through the food, through the literature, through the comedy. We laugh, we cry, we sing, we dance, we create together. And this is truly beautiful here. So tonight I'm gonna share some poetry with you all. I'm gonna begin with one that maybe some of you are familiar with, but I like to open up with. I gotta stand up for this. Set myself up. The poet is here. The poet is here. So listen up and open up them ears, because the poet is here. And I am that poet. That ghetto fabulous, take it to anybody's face poet. That poet of the rock warrior who, when a child was lost without an identity, now has found his place in society. Poet. Yes, I am that poet. That rice and beans eating Puerto Rican poet. That poet who can easily shake his butt to the sounds of the late great Tito Puentes beating on his timbales, as well as to some good old hip hop beats poet. Yes, I am that poet. That barrio bred, born in the gutter, wild child who will always say it loud and proud. Yo soy boricua, pa' que tú lo sepas, poet. Yes, I am that poet, that revolutionary poet whose words might even start a war, poet. Yes, I am that poet whose body is often possessed with the spirits of Albizu Che and Malcolm X, poet. Oh, damn, I am that poet who will fight for the rights and ignite the light in your mind, poet. Yes, I am that poet whose muses are combinations of the likes of Langston Hughes, Keats, and Miguel Piñero at the same time, poet. Yes, I am that poet, that New York-Rican poet. So I always love to start out with that. That was one of the first poems I actually created. Um, you know, at that time, I was, I was lost before I actually, tapped into the writing and everything. And those were the muses that inspired me. Always have to pay respect, right, to those that paved the way. So I always love to start with that poem, especially when I'm with my students, at sometimes at different events, because it holds a powerful message of cultura, of culture, of raíces, of makes up who I am. So this a lot of my work deals with that. I think it's very important. Identity is essential. It's essential. Without that, you don't know where you're going. So, a lot of my work deals with that. The next poem I have, it's a new one. It's gonna be in my second book, and it's also it pays homage to a lot of our great poets, poetas, writers too. You will notice a lot of uh, maybe pieces from other poems in there, but it's also an identity poem. It's called Yo Soy, I Am. Soy arroz junto con habichuela, el ritmo que separa la bomba y plena del hip hop y mambo que corre por mi pena. Yo soy, I am. Héctor Lavoe cantando de sus penas y alegría, convirtiendo sus canciones en cuentos y poesía. Yo soy, I am. The young lords marching through back in the day, chanting, despierta boricua, defiende lo tuyo, jíbaro sí, yankee no. Yo soy, I am. Taíno, Arawak, español, africano, todo lo que la historia nos hizo. Yo soy, I am. Juan, Miguel, Milagros, Olga, Manuel, working, slaving, paying for the price of pan with my blood, sweat, and tears. Yo soy, I am. Aguebaná, Filiberto, Albizu, Petance, Lolita y Cancel, peleando por mi bandera y la libertad de nuestra gente. Yo soy, I am. That child born at the crossroads who have now found his place in society. Yo soy, I am. La semilla que fue sembrado en la casa del enemigo para cosechar la venganza y llevarle la batalla a ellos. Yo soy, I am. The classified, the discriminated, the stereotype, former, Goya eating, mira, mira, ¿qué pasa? Voice of the struggle, I am. Yo soy, hijo de padre y madre que dejaron su isla del encanto en búsqueda de algo y en vez llegaron en el país del espanto. I am, yo soy, the W en huepa, el sofrito que te deja con la boca abierta. I am, yo soy ese poeta fighting for the cause and igniting the light while giving you la receta para obtener y conquistar todo lo malo que nos rodea. I am. Yo soy. That guy who will sometimes say, qué chévere, or move to the sound of the salsa tan sabroso y caliente. Yo soy. I am. El hacha y machete de jíbaros que aún me visitan en mis sueños para recordarme que aún Puerto Rico necesita ser libre. I am. Yo soy. That brick city Rican born in the gutter wild child who will always say it loud and proud. Yo soy boricua, pa' que tú lo sepas. I am. Yo soy. gonna be in the new book, the second book that's in process right now, in progress. I want to read. I don't know if I have time. This one, sure. So this deals a lot with spiritualism, right? Beliefs. It's called la limpieza. Llegó doña Carmen con los cocos pelados para preparar el ritual que me liberará de todo lo malo. Everybody has a doña Carmen in the family. Tú sabes, la doñita esa del vecindario que le dicen bruja o satánica porque brega con aquello. Pues este día mami la llamó para que nos diera una visita. Because I was being a badass little boy. And mommy thought that maybe I was possessed by some demon from hell. You know, it never occurred to her that maybe I was suffering from repressed feelings of not having a papa at home. Well, anyway, this is how the story goes. Mira, nene, doña Carmen llegó para sacarte todo lo negativo que tiene. A ver si te aclara esa mente antes que te arreviente. Pero mami, yo le digo, I ain't got no damn demons. Mira, nene, no me hable para atrás y cállate esa boca. Empezó doña Carmen en ese momento su canto en palabras africanas o lo que sea que fuera. Después comenzó a bailar con los cocos, para arriba y para abajo. Mientras hacía eso, I was saying, what the hell is this lady doing? At that moment, she started saying the following, libera a este nene de todo lo malo, libera a este nene de todo lo malo. Empezó a pasar los cocos para alrededor de mí. What she think? She gonna take away my I don't give a damn attitude with this mumbo jumbo shit? Después mami sacó la bolsita brown llena de cositas que compró en la botánica del barrio. Se la dio a doña Carmen. Después de los dos empezaron su chanteo, unas palabras sobre mí con unas velitas que iluminaban la oscuridad que nos acompañaba durante el ritual. Al otro día le volví a robar la cartera a mami. Parece que lo malo no le tuvo miedo a los cocos de doña Carmen ni el chanteo de mami. That was a little short story there. This is also these are all poems from my first book. This one is dedicated to the city where I'm from. It's called I'm From. I'm from where people used to come to when there was no more room for them in the concrete jungle, where cultures cascade into looking for the opportunity to flourish. I'm from the city that was lost in the 67 riots and racial lines still divide us. Well, when you look up at phone lines, you might catch a glimpse of sneakers hanging in representation of those who are no longer around to wear them. Where I'm from, hip hop took the forefront, led the culture into the mainstream through a rapper's delight, paving the way for many of our rapping greats. Where I'm from, you can hear Hector Lavoe's voice blasting out of a window on a clear summer day while the Puerto Rican flag dances to the sounds of El Cantante de los Cantantes. Where I'm from, young people die at an early age due to the gunplay without ever realizing that their life could have been changed. Where I'm from, big homies substitute for fathers, and young mothers are turned into gang members, never quite finding the right answers. Where I'm from, talent, if not nurtured the right way, is usually wasted while politicians continue to take money from the wrong places. Where I'm from, you can't speak of the young lords and leave out the Black Panthers. You can't read poetry without honoring the late great Amari Baraka and his story of how somebody blew up America. Where I'm from, obituaries tell stories of how people have worked and struggled to make ends meet. Where I'm from, dreams can become reality, especially for those who still believe that a rose can rise above the concrete. Because the place where I'm from has also produced doctors, lawyers, singers, athletes, artists, poets, writers, activists, demonstrating that the future can be ours. Where I'm from, we celebrate the success of others like no other. Because where I'm from, even though it is known as the bricks, you can still find love around that corner. And that's where I'm from. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Puerto Rock. So tell us, where do we find you? How do we stalk you? What are you pushing besides your book? How do we find you?
Okay, so I have a website. It is www.portorockWriter.com. You can purchase the book from there. Porter Rock Writer is PORTAWRITER .com.
And your
You can-
Insta? Are you on Insta?
No, I'm on Facebook.
We
So
like
can
you
find
anyway.
Facebook.com Boricua Writer. I have an Instagram.
Okay, so you're not into your Instagram. You're not. I loved your stories. I love hearing, um, especially between Cesar and Puerto Rock, because they focus mostly on Newark, and I love that because as a New Yorker, I feel I'm very protective of our people, and I think that I consider Jersey our people. Like if I have people who will speak ill of Jersey, I'm like, you're not from. Who are you? Who are you to be talking about Jersey? I said, do you know that? I said, are you aware that Bergen County is more expensive than Beverly Hills? Are you aware of that? So I love seeing the 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 beauty through the bricks, through the destruction. I don't like saying destruction, but it is destruction of what we knew. And I hate to admit that I just recently learned about the 67 riots because I saw the Many Saints of Newark. I really didn't know about the riots. So I'm very glad that you mentioned that. And it's making me look at Newark in a whole different light. And I really, really appreciate the way you two native sons chose to portray Newark. So thank you for that. Thank you. To the people back home, I want to thank you all. Do we have any questions on our Instagram for any of our panelists? For Dimitri, for Cesar, for Grisel, for Puerto Rock, for me. Anybody have any questions? Questions, comments, criticism? We take them all. Um, Anybody? Do we get any questions on there? No, well, I have some questions before we wrap up. Oh, we do. We did get some questions. Okay. Okay. So, what is your question, please? Giselle, you take it away.
Um, so is this on? Okay. I actually grew up in a household full of books. So libraries, places that had lots of books were very, it was something that was normal for me. And as soon as I could write, I was trying to imitate the books that I saw in my household. So I was literally writing books before I could write full words. So I had the book of W's, the book of X's, that would actually make a good romance novel, the book of
Book of
X's. But
X's.
anyway, so
I got a few
so
contributions.
I was trying to write books like before I even knew what they were, right? But I didn't know that I was a writer until I got to college because I was always writing in journals, and I have the callus to prove it. Um, but really good professors that I had told me that I was a writer, I didn't know that my journals meant anything. So for all those professors out there who actually see their students and say, "Hey, it looks like you're good at this," more power to you. We need those voices because I wouldn't have known. I really wouldn't have.
Cesar, I think you know you had an eye.
I was always felt like I was an artist. Like when I was a little kid, like I wanted to be either an artist or a fireman. And I used to sit in the doctor's office, and he would lay out that big white sheet that you sit on. And I would just like draw like pizza trucks and cars and stuff. And so fast forward, I was like going to college, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Because I still wanted to be creative, so I chose graphic design just because it was like commercially viable for me to get a job. And so I went there, and I did not like it. I graduated anyway. I was like an average student, and I was gonna tell my mom like I think I want to pursue photography because I was a photographer. And, like I was playing with the concept of photography in high school. Like I bought my like when digital cameras were like kind of fresh. Like I was really into that technology, so I was like I want to get one, and I was like the documenter of my friends.
Do you use film at all?
I do, yeah. Actually, these past few years, I've taught myself like how to like I have like half of a dark room in my place because I develop at home. I do my negatives at home, but I can't do like wet printing because I don't have like the facilities. So I do scanning. But yeah, so I think that graphic design really helped me. Like it informed my photography. Yeah, so I'm kind of following there.
Puerto Rock, when did you know you were fabulous?
Wow. At a pretty young age, my mom used to read to me. We have books. If you remember the little sing-along Disney books, I used to have the little record player with the yellow thing you used to put. So I used to do that. It was just me and my mom. Right? So uh, she she showed me a world, through literature, and my imagination ran wild at that young age. So I loved horror movies. I loved terror, anything that was suspense. So I started writing stories, but everything was horror, and I made it as gross and horrific as I can. I still have my stories. They were in screenplay forms. Nobody taught me. Self. I had the cast written, and I had the characters speaking to each other. Like John said this and that, and then I started sharing it. I started sharing it with students, and I had kids that were buying it from me. Yeah, I was selling my stories like in fourth grade or in um yeah, but I started through that. Poetry came later, or yeah, after I went to when I was in college. That's when I got the love for just writing down. If you consider it poetry, I like to say messages or manifestation or whatever. You create the word. But yeah, I started in college with that. I started writing third grade.
Dimitri, when did you know you had an affinity for poetry and writing?
Ooh, an affinity for poetry and writing. I love the way you said that. I would actually say, like everyone else, that started young. Like when I was in second grade, one of my teachers that saw something in me, she forwarded my picture prompt, which, if anyone remembers that, it's when you had to write like a fiction story based off of a picture. She sent it into Highlights magazine, and it got picked up. And like everyone thought that that was a really cool thing. I don't have it. I didn't really think it was that crazy at the time as a kid, but everyone kept saying that. We did picture prompts until like fifth grade, and teachers knew going from like year to year, they would just let me stay there and write like 5, 8.5 by 11s, and I would just keep going and going and going. And I would basically just turn in first drafts because they just wanted me to keep writing, which was really nice. But because of that, I always kind of felt like that it was almost something that everyone could do. And as an educator, when I see a student that shows a promise, or that you could actually see their niche and you could see their talent. I think it's also very important to tell them that not a lot of other people have that same talent, right? Because when I was applying to colleges, and I had a guidance counselor saying, "Hey, you should continue like pursuing English or creative writing." I didn't want to do that because I felt like it wasn't going to make money. I didn't feel like I had options. I just thought I was going to be some teacher, right? So I bounced back and forth until I had like 80 something credits and no major yet. And then finally I was like, okay, I'll become an English major. And then fuacate, I was taking like 7 classes a semester, right? Holding a job, taking the classes, and then papers were just like going through the works. And then I still kind of like, I loved music. I liked being a musician. I wrote on the side, but I never took it seriously. And then one time in a paper, and actually, I'll always remember this writer who was a professor for a comics and graphics novels class. He was a very good friend of mine, Michael Van Kalberg. I turned in a paper to him, and somewhere in the summary I said, "Oh, I'm a budding poet," and he wrote in red pen at the top, "See me after class," and I thought I did something wrong. And then he had the talk with me about being a creative and investing in your own creativity. He wanted to see my work. He really liked my work, and then we started workshopping my things before I even knew what a workshop was. I applied for a grad program. I got in, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I have to be an artist. I have to figure this out." And then that's when the real research started. So I always had an affinity for writing. I would say it didn't come to me seriously until I was in my early 20s, where I started kind of stumbling into a certain mold. I always stumbled into a lot of different things. Um, but I gotta say, like, education and writing are the two most fun things to me. And I always try to do both. So that's why a lot of my work is kind of in storytelling format, because there's always a story to tell through image. Kind of like with Cesar's images. Um, and Grizel's song poems, which I love that poem so much. And then Porter Rock's odes and his I Am poems, which was very interesting because when I was in high school, I actually went to a presentation and Porter Rock was a counselor at Eastside High School, and he did that Joe Soy poem, and I was floored, right? So there's a lot of folks within the Newark artist community who are also educators. So it also raises the next generation of artists, which is amazing.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
so awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. With us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I guess it's my turn. I've been acting since elementary school. I was an actor since I was a kid. I didn't know I was a writer until I wrote my first play, and it was because I was an actor who couldn't find work. So I wrote my first play, Dancing in the Mirror, which Griselle was in, and it was my first play. And then I didn't write another. That was in 2001, and I didn't write another play. I thought I didn't have another play in me. I was like, you know. And then I got diagnosed with cancer, and I wanted to journal that. So I wrote my play Pink, the Chronicles of BC Jenny, and I toured the country with that. But I didn't know I was a comedian. I always knew I was funny, but I didn't know I was a comedian until I was hosting. It was post cancer. I was hosting a cancer event, and I was just hosting the event. And somebody came and was like, "We've got to go see you perform." And I was like, "Where?" Like, what are you talking about? Like, where do you do comedy? I was like, I don't do comedy. They're like, well, I was like, I was just hosting the show. And so somebody said, no, you should really do comedy. And I was like, all right. So then I went somewhere, and I went to what is now my home club, which is called the Grizzly Pear, and comedy had just started there. And I was like, I talked to the owner because I knew the owner. I was like, yo, give me 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes were the longest 3 minutes of my life. And I got off stage, and I felt my teeth were chattering so hard I couldn't keep my jaw still. This is when I got off stage, because on stage I was like, but then I got off stage, I was like, oh, you know. But it's because I was an actor that I knew how to be good on stage, but I didn't know. I was so scared. And then I started I started joking that the only reason I do comedy, thank God for cancer, because my parents loved me, and I had an idyllic childhood, so my comedy would suck if it hadn't been for cancer. So because my parents loved me. So what else am I going to talk about? But that's when I discovered that I was a comedian, when somebody told me that I was a comedian, and I am really now, just believe it or not, chemo, post COVID. Wow, CCC, post COVID. Um, Somebody said to me, a comic that I respect very much said to me, if you don't start putting yourself into your comedy, you're just going to be like any of these other young comics. Like, because I would tell stories. I am a storytelling comic, like you're a storyteller, Dimitri. And I would tell stories and I mean, they were funny. But now that I'm starting to tell like the stories I told about my mother yesterday, and talking about my pet kid and all of those are real stories. And I would tell people these stories, but I didn't think they were good enough for stage. And everybody's like, I'm like, well, where's the punchline? Like, you don't need a punchline, just tell the story. And now I tell everyone, and that's why I'm grateful for all of you, and Dimitri, all of you, because one of the things that I will speak for all of us now, and if you disagree, raise your hand. But I think that one of the things that happens to us as artists is that people come up to us and say, "Well, oh wow, I was so floored. I can't do that. I don't know if I can do that. And that's not true. That's not true. Tell your story. Someone wants to hear it. Someone wants to hear your story. I promise you that. I promise you that. And you will make someone better by telling your story. And these artists and all of us here are telling stories. And we're telling our stories. And we're telling the stories of where we come from. And we're all and that's all we can do is give us. I can't tell Cesar's story, right? But I can tell mine and he can tell his. And I think that's important. I want to thank everyone again. I want to thank everyone again for being a part of this program. This is my second night. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the Newark Public Library. I want to thank Jasenia Lopez. I want to thank all of our panelists, Dimitri, Grisel, Cesar, Porter Rock. I want to thank all of you in the audience, all of you on Facebook. Thank you for supporting Latino artists. Thank you for supporting Latino programs. Thank you for supporting the Latino community. And we're only going to get bigger and better because that's what we do. Because that's what we do. Thank you, and good night, everyone. Thank you.